We have been watching this planet from space for decades, and we keep finding things that shouldn't be there. Ancient structures, geometric earthworks, entire cities hidden under jungle, buried under sand, sitting in plain sight the whole time. Today, we're going through 10 of them. Let's get into it. In 2007, an amateur archaeology enthusiast named Dimitri Day was browsing Google Earth when he found something extraordinary in a remote stretch of the Kazakh steppe. Massive geometric earthworks. Squares, crosses, rings, carved into the ground, some stretching 300 meters across. He kept looking and found more. Then more. Over 260 have now been identified. NASA photographed them from 430 miles up and confirmed that they are up to 8,000 years old. Here is the problem nobody can explain. They're too large to see from the ground. The people who built them had no aircraft, no satellite, no way of seeing what they were making. Why an ancient civilization 8,000 years ago built enormous geometric shapes that can only be fully perceived from space remains unanswered. In 2017, archaeologist David Kennedy at the University of Western Australia was studying satellite imagery when he found hundreds of stone structures in the Saudi desert nobody had ever documented. From the air, they look exactly like farm gates, low walls arranged in that distinctive shape. Not one, not 10, 400 of them, some sitting on the slopes of active volcanoes, some at elevations where nothing grows. They may be older than the pyramids. Kennedy studied them from a helicopter. No comprehensive excavation has ever been conducted. What 400 stone gate structures were doing on the sides of volcanoes in a desert has no convincing answer. For decades, the prevailing view was that the Amazon was largely uninhabited before European contact. Too dense, too hostile. Then, satellite imagery and deforestation revealed something that changed that conversation completely. Over 450 enormous geometric earthworks, circles, squares, multi-ringed structures carved into the ground across the Brazilian Amazon. Some are 300 meters in diameter with ditches 11 meters wide, between 1,000 and 2,000 years old. The Amazon wasn't empty. It was full of people building things at a scale and precision nobody thought was possible there. What the structures were used for, villages, ceremonial sites, something else, has never been conclusively established. The Quran describes a city called Iram of the Pillars, a great trading civilization in the Arabian Peninsula that was destroyed for its corruption. Explorers searched for it for centuries. T.E. Lawrence searched for it. In 1992, a team using NASA satellite radar found ancient caravan trails, invisible from the ground, converging on a single point in the Omani desert. The trails led to a city buried under a collapsed limestone cavern. It had fallen into a sinkhole. NASA found a city mentioned in the Quran lost for 1,700 years that archaeologists are still piecing together. Apparently, when God buries something, he buries it properly. Everyone knows the Nazca lines. Famous, studied, documented for decades. In 2022, an AI system was deployed to scan the entire Nazca region using satellite imagery. In 6 months, it found 303 previously unknown geoglyphs. That's nearly double the total. They're different from the famous ones, smaller, carved into hillsides, depicting humanoid figures with features that are genuinely strange. Decades of human researchers had walked right past them. 6 months of AI satellite scanning, and suddenly there are twice as many Nazca figures as we thought. The question of why any of them were made remains unanswered. I don't know, maybe they just really liked art. Angkor Wat is one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world, studied for over a century. And in 2015, LiDAR swept the jungle surrounding it and revealed something nobody expected. An entire medieval urban landscape stretching across hundreds of square kilometers. Multiple hidden cities, road networks, water management systems. At its peak, Greater Angkor was larger than any pre-industrial city in the world. A civilization of extraordinary scale existing right next to one of the most visited monuments on Earth. And archaeologists had no idea it was there until a laser scanned the tree canopy. How it collapsed so completely that the jungle swallowed it in decades has never been satisfactorily explained. In June 2025, just last year, an international team announced the discovery of a previously unknown network of massive fortified enclosures in northwest Saudi Arabia. 6 separate sets of walls, some stretching over a kilometer, each surrounding a natural water source in the desert, at least 4,000 years old, found using satellite imagery after sitting there undocumented for millennia. A network of fortress walls built around desert water sources by people who have not been conclusively identified for reasons that have not yet been established, found last year. Definitely makes you wonder what we'll find next year. In January 2024, archaeologists published results of a LiDAR survey of the Ecuadorean Amazon. What they found was a 2,500-year-old urban network. Roads, platforms, canals, public spaces spread across 300 square kilometers of jungle, built by a civilization called the Upano people, who housed tens of thousands at their peak. One of the oldest and largest pre-Columbian settlements ever found. And here is the part that really stays with you. The survey covered only a fraction of the total jungle. If that fraction contained a city this size, the question of what's in the rest of it has no answer quite yet. In 2011, space archaeologist Sarah Parcak used infrared satellite imaging to scan the entire surface of Egypt. Infrared cameras detect subtle differences in soil composition that indicate buried structures below the surface. The results? 17 potential pyramids, over 3,100 forgotten settlements, more than 1,000 lost tombs, glowing in infrared from space, invisible from the ground. Some have since been confirmed by excavation. There are pyramids in Egypt that nobody knew existed until a satellite looked down with the right kind of eyes. How many more are under there is the question that still hasn't been fully answered. In 2011, satellite images originally taken for oil exploration were analyzed by a team of archaeologists. What they found in the Libyan Sahara was not one settlement, not a handful of ruins, but an entire civilization. Over 100 fortress settlements, walled towns, farms, and villages stretching across the Fezzan Desert. The Garamantes thrived for over 1,000 years, from approximately 500 BCE to 700 CE, in the middle of one of the most hostile environments on Earth. And here is the part that scientists still cannot fully explain. They built a network of underground water canals, estimated at over 3,000 kilometers in total length. 3,000 kilometers of hand-dug tunnels running beneath the Sahara, channeling prehistoric groundwater to irrigate crops in a desert, built 2,000 years ago, without machinery, without GPS, without any technology we would recognize. The water they were tapping had been accumulating underground since the Sahara was green, the end of the last ice age. An entire empire running on ice age water through 3,000 kilometers of hand-dug tunnels in a desert that kills you in days, and the civilization that built it was so thoroughly forgotten that it was only rediscovered when an oil company satellite happened to look down at the wrong patch of sand. Scientists can tell you what it is, but they still can't fully explain how. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!